How's it going, guys? And welcome to the showdown between the Skaven, led by Master Splinter, and the High Elves, who are going to be led by Doctor Strange. So guys, let's jump right into this match and take a look at some of these builds. So on the front line, I do have a combination of Plague Monks and Censer Bearers, and I definitely think this is one of the strongest combinations for the Skaven. So the Plague Monks don't have the best armor piercing values, however they do have pretty good stats while their frenzy is active. You can see 37 melee attack, 33 melee defense, and 35 weapon strength. On top of that, they do have a bonus for his infantry of 7. So against the High Elves, what you do is you actually use the Plague Furnace, or basically just Lure Plagues, and you use the Wither ability. So Wither does negative 30 armor, and I think when you overcast it, it actually does negative 60 armor. So that makes the Plague Monks so darn effective in the front line. If you use an overcasted Wither on the Swordmasters of Hoeth, for example, they're going to be down to 30 armor, and you'll actually get a ton of damage on them with these Plague Monks. On top of that, the Censer Bearers are a pretty solid pick. They have really good AP values, 46 weapon strength. They also do magic damage, which can be useful. There are a couple of units on the roster, like Dragon Princes. I don't think he has any, but Dragon Princes and Phoenix Guard do have physical resist. So having the magic damage on these guys is pretty nice, but on top of that, they just have good stats. So that's pretty much it for my front line, just Plague Monks and Censer Bearers. In the back, I do have one group of the Poison Wind Globadiers, which are the anti-large kind of Globadier unit. Pretty good choice against Dragons and Phoenixes, and pretty much like Lords and Cav and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely recommend bringing one group of these. And the other unit I wanted to experiment with this game were the Deathglow Bombardiers. So these are the anti-infantry variant, and you can see their weapon strength is quite massive. They have 67 weapon strength, they do magic damage, so very good against Dragon Princes who have physical resist. And yeah, these guys do some serious work. Like if they're left unimpeded, firing at Swordmasters of Hoeth or White Lions, these guys will just do some heavy lifting for you. In the back, I do have one group of Stormvermin with halberds, and I know that, the High Elves do have some pretty strong cav with Dragon Princes, and even Silverhelms are, pretty decent in their own right. So I didn't want to be defending my artillery with like Clan Rats, because I thought Clan Rats or Skaven Slave Spears might just get overrun, and then I would lose this very expensive piece of equipment. So right here, I'm going to be using the Warp Lightning Cannon, and hopefully it'll work out. On top of that, I do have the Plague Furnace. So the Plague Furnace is basically just a Plague Priest riding atop the Plague Furnace, and it does have a Mortis Engine effect called Billowing Death. It's very, very strong, and it does have 100 armor as well, so against the High Elves, it's a pretty safe pick because their missiles don't have the best AP damage to take this thing down. I do have a Pestilent Breath, which I think is actually imbued on this thing, and looks like Wither to lower armor. Over here, I do also have Lore of Ruin. For Lore of Ruin, I do have the Warpstone armor. Well, that's not a spell. It comes with this guy. But it does another Mortis Engine effect. So I have two perpetual draining mechanics. I have one here and one here, which even if my front line can't get through the heavy armor, I'm really kind of putting a lot of marbles in these guys to do some work. This guy also has a Howling Warp Gale, so if he does have any dragons or flying units like that, you can lock them in place. And last but not least, he does have Warp Lightning Cannon. Then guys, I got Master Splinter. So he has good AP, he's pretty durable by Skaven standards, and does have the Warp Shard armor to lower nearby armor. Also very good synergy with the Plague Monks. And that's pretty much it for my army. No Doom Wheels, unfortunately, but we'll see how it works. So for my opponent, front line of White Lions, pretty solid. He does have Swordmasters of Hoeth on the far side. These guys will definitely do some work against the Skaven, but they're also going to be taking a ton of damage from the Globadiers as well as the Censer Bearers. And let's see, he's got White Lions, a full back line of Archers. So I think they're just regular Archers, maybe one group of Lothran Sea Guard. So Archers do some heavy lifting against Skaven infantry because they're super squishy. You can see here, these guys only have 10 armor. I think the Censer Bearers have 10 as well. So despite their physical resist, they still get massacred by these arrows, which is going to be really rough. So well played there, picking those guys. He's got some Spearmen in the back to defend against shenanigans. He's got two Silver Helms up on the high ground, and that's going to be it. So guys, let's get this show on the road. So over here, you can see he's advancing on me actually rather quickly, probably because of my Warp Lightning Cannon, but man, I'm just getting massacred by those arrows. So you can see my very expensive Censer Bearer unit is going to be going down. Definitely making me regret that pick a little bit, but I still think it's worth it. If you can get in there and do some real heavy lifting with them, before they get massacred like this, I think it's pretty good. So the Censer Bearers on the far side are going to collide with these White Lions right here, and this is definitely probably going to favor me this matchup, I would say. Censer Bearers will take some shock damage, but with that 30% physical resist and their huge AP, you can see the White Lions are already down to 44 leadership because of Contaminate. They're going to rout really quickly here. Also, my Death Globes are going to be throwing at the Swordmasters of Hoeth. They have a nice little arc of fire, so even if they are fighting in the front line, they get some nice tosses here, doing some pretty good HP damage at these guys. And even if there is friendly... Oh, and Warp Lightning out of nowhere. So these Swordmasters of Hoeth, I mean, they're fighting Plague Monks, and the Plague Monks are actually holding their own. And it's going pretty well there. In the center, you can see my Plague Priest is going to be riding around, riding dirty. He does looks like a Flock of Doom is being cast by my opponent, so that's probably from Teclis, who does have access to Flock of Doom. He has Nets of Ammontalk and Flaming Sword of Ruin as well. So I kind of win this side of the battle pretty heavily. You can see my Censer Bearers were able to break through, but he does have an auxiliary line, and I actually really like that tactic from my opponent. Like, once you break through, you have to fight spears, you have to take additional arrow fire, so having that segmented front line was really cool. On top of that, my opponent's Silverhelms in the back are just riding around and trolling my units. Looks like he does have another group over here. I was able to intercept these ones with the Stormvermin, which was nice, and I dragged down quite a few. But he's really aggressive in kind of maneuvering around me here, and it looks like my Warp Lightning Cannon is a little bit exposed, although it's getting some very good fire on these Silverhelms. And you can see my Stormvermin are going to be rotating right now to kind of intercept. And it looks like my Plague Monks as well as my Globadiers were able to fend off this other group. But a very wild fight. He actually has a healthy group of Swordmasters. I'm not sure how they got over here, but I do have some troops kind of pushing forward. You can see that my Rat Lord right here, this Warlock Engineer, he has good AP, but there's not really too many armored units. But he is doing a Mortis Engine effect. You can see it's draining the Spearmen. It's kind of like that gray hue you see over all of these units is a draining effect. And he's kind of like holding up this front line, which is nice. But man, my opponent doing a really good job with his High Elf Archers, just focus firing my units as they advance and just isolating them and doing tons of heavy lifting. Over here, QUEEK is in a bit of a cockfight. He's fighting in some of these white lines, and he'll be able to clean these guys up probably. But I think right now I'm trying to scurry him back so he has some support. But basically right now, I still have some very healthy Storm Vermin who, will fight against the white lines and other troops pretty efficiently. They'll be somewhat durable against the High Elf Archers because of their armor. So I just want to, secure this Warp Lightning Cannon. I need to keep it online. It's one of my last tools that's going to help me fend off all these ranged units. My opponent doing a really good job with his Silver Helms, just kind of riding down my Skaven and sending them flying here. Man, what happened to that guy's head? I guess one of those globes took off his head there. That's pretty rough. But I got some Plague Monks in the back here. The Furnace, even though it's not meant versus Cav, it still does have a Mortis Engine effect. Has some decent armor piercing value, so it should be able to help out in this engagement here. So I'm trying to just advance on him and inundate his back line with whatever I have. But as soon as I advance, I'm just taking Archer fire. You can see my Warlock Engineer is being forced off the battlefield as well. And also a very nice Flock of Doom for my opponent. Oh no, Fiery Convocation. I definitely think it's one of the weaker ones because of how long it takes, but it looks like it might have clipped my... Oh man, that crew got roasted, but looks like they actually endured pretty well there. So I've stabilized in the back line for the most part. I do have my Storm Vermin here who are still fending off some Cab, I think. It looks like the Silver Helms and everyone else there is pretty much taken care of. And I also do have some Death Glow Bombardiers back here. 21 models, and I mean their HP is very low, but they still have a pretty good model count. So I'm shooting into his line back here. His Archers are at about 40% ammo, so definitely not as good as I wanted. And you can see Benedict Cumberbatch right here is getting surrounded by QUEEK as well as this Warlock Engineer. I'm actually starting to push him back a little bit. You can also see a Warp Lightning coming down. I was trying to hit something over here. I don't know. I think that might have been a misclick. I might have just missed. That was just right on top of some of my own guys. But anyways, you can see this Plague Furnace right here is going to be really nice in this engagement. It's going to be draining these guys. And I wonder if that stacks with the Warlock Engineer because they both have that Mortis Engine effect. I wonder if they stack. If they do, that's really strong. But QUEEK and the boys are going to be pushing forward. I definitely have the infantry advantage. Well, I mean, I wouldn't even call it infantry because I have 10 Plague Monks here, 29. But, I have this really kind of pocket of strength here, and he has mostly Archers left. But in the back, I have my Storm Vermin, and he has a lot of troops rallying. So he has Swordmasters of Hoeth, who are going to be a menace if they get close, and also some Silver Helms. Looks like 15 models. And you can also see these Globadiers are coming in, and they're going to get some great volleys right here covering their buddies. These Poison Wing Globadiers, and man, they're just... Oh, these are actually just Spearmen. But yeah, those Spearmen get just chunked by those guys. So that's some massive damage. I don't think they have Contaminate. No, they don't. They only have 8 ammunition left. Is it 8? Let me go and check. Let's see. You can actually see the ammunition, so... Yeah, it looks like they only have 8 shots left, but, they should be able to clean up these Spearmen at least. So it looks like Verminous Valor going down from QUEEK. Another Flock of Doom from Doctor Strange over here. But this Plague Furnace is just kind of trolling her out in the back of the line. Just kind of... And you see that green kind of mist over these guys? That's the Plague Furnace, the Billowing Death. And it seems to be doing really well. But my opponent, very well played, is actually going to be splitting his Archers into several groups. So he's probably going to send one over here, and then the other one is probably going to back up this way. And, get some really good crossfire on me. So, Warp Lightning coming down right here, but my opponent seeing it coming. Very well played, dodging it right there. But I'm just trying to block these guys up, so I'm not taking the arrow fire elsewhere. In the back, the Storm Vermin still doing an excellent job fending off everything. They were even able to stop those Swordmasters of Hoeth. So that's one of the big reasons why I think if you have really expensive Skaven artillery, you should protect it with expensive units. So, Storm Vermin can hold all day, against most threats. But unfortunately, another threat is on the horizon. These Swordmasters of Hoeth are just... Look at how they, trot. They're just, waddling. That can't be a run, but they're trying to catch my Globadier, so I was running back to the Storm Vermin, hoping to get some support. And in the meantime, the Bounce of Power does shift in my favor just so slightly, but he still has a ton of Archers, and he keeps dodging those Warp Lightnings. Very well played there. You can see QUEEK is going to be sent flying by Benedict Cumberbatch. He does have that horse, so he can definitely cycle charge me to death. And every time I, turn around to chase Benedict, he just gets some really good fire on me with those arrows. So it's been tough, but the Plague Furnace is terror routing some of these guys and breaking them. I'm pretty sure it causes fear and terror, does it? No, it actually doesn't. Okay, so that wasn't a terror route. My apologies, guys. That was incorrect. Just a regular breaking right there. But, I'm finally able to get my paws on him a little bit. I cast Trophy Heads, and he's definitely going to be taking some damage here, which is going to be rough. And it still definitely could go either way. He has enough Archers and kind of auxiliary units. In the back line, my cannon, unfortunately, does get attacked by some Spearmen, and I have these Storm Vermin fending off these Swordmasters of Hoeth. So these Filthy Rats doing a very, very good job for me in the back line. 46 kills. Definitely some of the MVPs from this game. And hopefully some of my Globadiers will rally, because then I can really pepper these guys down. But I did see my my artillery being attacked, so it wasn't really functioning. So I had to pull over and kind of defend that. So hopefully they can hold. That's going to be a big determining factor here. Over here you can see that QUEEK is actually getting a little bit low, but you can see my Warp Lightning Cannon is going to be shooting at Doctor Strange. Hopefully doing some pretty good work. I do use the Trophy Heads, but obviously he can just outmaneuver me. But it looks like he's coming in for it, and QUEEK just gets sent back to the Shadow Realm. with that Mortis Engine effect from the Warlock Engineer is quite helpful, but, you know, my Plague Furnace is starting to get worn down, guys. I've been riding dirty all day, and you know what? He's doing some pretty good crossfire here. He's got to be running low on ammo, and I do get a really good Warp Lightning right there on those Spearmen, which is definitely going to be pretty game-changing there. So in the back, you can see my artillery is pretty much offline temporarily, but it looks like the Stormvermin should be able to win this battle against the very tattered troops here. And also my Globadiers are coming back. 16 of them isn't bad. You know, out of 36, I mean, so they still have a ton of their models. So here comes the, oh, these are the Poison Wing Globadiers. But regardless, the friendly fire is probably worth it right now. It looks like he actually did kill most of my crew. I don't know if that was friendly fire, but hopefully not. But he does kill most of my crew there, which is pretty rough. So all I really have over here is QUEEK. He has Benedict Cumberbatch. He has a bunch of archers. So QUEEK is pretty alone here, but thankfully he does have pretty good armor values. And Benedict doesn't really have the best AP, so he should be able to survive some cycle charging. And you can see a Warp Lightning coming down and zapping those archers. So man, Warp Lightning for days, definitely doing a very, very good job. Verminous Valor, looks like a net of ammo shot coming down from Benedict. Gonna lock me in place, but guys, I'm finally starting to secure my back line. So I fend off the white lines. And my cannon crew, even though they're broken right now, they're gonna start stabilizing in terms of their leadership. And you guys will see in a moment, they're probably gonna rally. Yeah, they rally right there. And in the meantime, just trying to fight Benedict. He's kiting me back, just getting some good crossfire. And I mean, this was very dicey, guys. The bounce power was a little bit further for me a moment ago. But, you know, you can see it's evening out. My lords are getting very low. QUEEK is shaking himself. He has 900 HP. My opponent can just cycle charge me into oblivion if he really wants to. And it looks like that's what his plan is. So the Warp Lightning Cannon is going to be coming back online, which is going to be my saving grace. So now it's just going to start shooting at Benedict. And oh, man, he just gets chunked right there. And you guys can see as soon as he gets chunked, the bounce power just goes in my favor. And it looks like that's going to be all she wrote. So, man, very well played my opponent. That was a super close game. Really fun. I always like long Skaven matchups. They're pretty entertaining with all the scurrying and whatnot. But I did like the build. The Plague Monks did well. But, again, it was a bit of a learning lesson. Like, this is my typical front line in most matchups. I think it's very safe and it can deal with most threats. But I took so much damage from his archers. And, you know, it was tough. Like, it made me wonder. I was like, I wonder if I should just use Clan Rats with shields. Maybe put more credence into my, my artillery and maybe a Doom Wheel or something like that. But I do still like this front line, but I don't know. After taking that archer fire, like it was really rough, guys. Like I learned a pretty tough lesson there. But yeah, I mean, ultimately it ended up working out. I mean, I really did do well in the front line against his initial shock troops. Was able to kill his infantry and, you know, send them running. So they did work. But again, they did also get gunned down by the archers. But, you know, had I brought Clan Rats as well as Stormvermin with swords and shields, I probably wouldn't have been able to have that burst damage. So there's some give and take there. But Master Splinter was pretty good. I definitely like the Warlock Engineer for the Warp Lightning, and the Howling Warp Gale is a great contingency because most people will bring flying units. So I think it's very safe. And the Plague Furnace was definitely the MVP, though. This thing was solid. Globadiers did good, had a good old jolly time, and for his army, I liked it. I mean, no complaints. I mean, he had a strong infantry corps. I really like how he staggered his troops, because you don't really have to worry about flanking too much from Skaven, because again, they have slow cav and things like that, so you usually can kind of contain them in the front. What you have to worry about is summons, like Vermintide coming through your back line. I didn't use it this game. It probably would have been very helpful against archers, but I mean, you can even use Silver Helms to defend against that, but the archers really did some good work, but yeah, it was definitely fun. Very well played to my opponent, David Magell over there. Look forward to running into you again on ladder. And my apologies for mangling your name, as I'm sure I did. But look forward to finding you again, man. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.